Today I'm going to talk about my favorite game mechanism in Gugong, the game that I was most looking forward to playing at Geekway Mini this past weekend. And thanks to Miles and Dustin and Jesse and who else was there? I think that was it. Thanks to those guys for playing this game with me because I had a great time playing it. Gugong it's a worker placement game, but you're using cards essentially as your workers. You're claiming your actions based on cards that you're placing there. And it uses this brilliant bribing mechanism, and that's what I want to talk about in this video. The thematic idea is that in China, apparently, bribing was outlawed at a certain point, but people got around it by exchanging gifts of different values. So if I wanted to bribe you, I might give you a gift that's worth a lot, and you might give me a gift that's only worth a little bit, and so that way we can circumvent the rules around bribing. And this game uses that mechanism. You have these cards numbered 1 through 9. You end up with 4 of them in your starting hand. And when you want to take an action on the board, there will be cards, 1 card per action populated on the board. And so if I want to take an action that has, there's an action on the board that has a 6 on it, a card with a 6 on it, I need to take a card that has a number higher than 6, so I could use my 7 card here. I put it on that action. I pick up the 6 because 7 is greater than 6, so that's why I'm able to use that action. And the 6 goes in my discard pile right over here. So at the beginning of my next round, I get to pick up that card. That becomes my new hand, all the cards that I picked up in the previous round. So you're putting down these cards and you're picking up new cards. And this leads to so many interesting decisions because, and they're tied to a few different things that the game does. First, there's the decision of which cards do I pick up? Because no matter how good the cards that I have right now are, I need to exchange them with other cards to take actions. So if I have a 9 in hand, but I really want to take an action with a 5, is it worth it for me to do that? I like that this narrows down the decisions that you have in the game because I think there are 7 different actions. And for someone who was learning the game, it was really helpful for me to just look at my cards in hand and say, okay, these are the only 2 actions I can take right now. Even though that isn't entirely true. You can get around that difference in cost by spending some resources that you have. I avoided doing that, but it is possible to do that in the game. But in terms of narrowing down your actions, that action funnel, that was really helpful for me as I was learning the game, that I could look at certain actions that I could actually afford based on the cards that I had in hand. One of the other things that it does is some of these cards have bonuses on them. So not only are you making decisions based on the number, you're deciding based on the bonus on the card that you're playing and the cards that you're picking up. So do you go after a 6? Maybe there's a 6 on the board that has no bonus on it. So do you go after that versus a card, maybe a 5 that does have a bonus on it because you know you're going to get to play that card next round and get that bonus. And also it gives you this combo-y feel because every time you play a card with a bonus, you're getting that bonus and you're getting the core action for that action. Another thing worth pointing out, I think, for us designers, us game designers, is that I like that they're not workers, but it does feel like worker placement, that you are choosing an action with a worker as a card. But I like that because they're cards, you can offer more information on them than you can with the little meeple. So they have a number, they have art, and they have this bonus on them. That would be a little bit difficult to portray in if you were using like meeples, like many worker placement games do. The last cool thing about this mechanism is that to add a little bit of variety from round to round, you roll 3 dice at the beginning of the round, and those dice show numbers between 1 and 9. Actually, there's one other thing after this I need to say, but those 3 dice show numbers on them. And at the end of the round, you look at how many of those numbers you have in your new hand, the cards that went into your discard pile. And so it gives you another reason to target different numbers from round to round. Like if the dice come up 3, 4, 5, that might be a reason to pick up 3s and 4s and 5s that round because you're going to get a bonus at the end of the round, even if maybe those weren't the cards that you would have gotten or targeted had that bonus, had those dice not been out there. I think they were called the Destiny dice. The last thing I wanted to mention is I really like that so 1 is the lowest, 9 is the highest, but 1s can pick up 9. So if there's a 9 on the table, obviously there's no card higher than 9 in this tableau, so it would just sit there otherwise. But 1s have the special ability, even though they're the lowest number, of being able to pick up 9s. 1s can't pick up 2s, but you can play a 1 where there is a 9 card and pick up that 9. I really like that as well, that little twist. This is just such a cool mechanism. I fell in love with it when I heard about it, and I really liked playing with this mechanism. And honestly, I think it's a mechanism that could find its way into other games. And really, I would put this on the same level as deck building, as such a brand new mechanism, unless another game has it that I don't know about. But it is a mechanism that can be taken many different directions in the same way that deck building has over the last few years. So I'd love to see other designers use this bribing mechanism with other types of themes, not as a bribe itself, but other types of themes. Because I think it has a lot of legs. It can go a lot of cool directions. But I do love how Gugong got the ball started with this mechanism. That's Gugong. If you have any other favorite mechanisms in Gugong that you would like to talk about in the comments, I'd love to hear about them. Or if you can think of other games that use mechanisms that maybe are kind of like this, where the thing that you're placing down on the board is an exchange with the thing that you're picking up, I'd love to hear about that in the comments. The one that does come to mind a little bit is Raiders of the North Sea. Does have something a little bit like this, but with workers, not with cards. So I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments about that if you know of any other games that use a similar mechanism. Thanks.